Let's begin by giving the person next to you a high five. Now, why didn't your hand go through the other person's? What if your hand were smaller? Much, much smaller. It turns out that the physics we're familiar with in our everyday lives begins to collapse when we get to scales of sizes small enough. And so when we look at transistors, the building blocks of all things technology, we find that we have to begin worrying of whether things will go through each other. And so 14 nanometers, how small really is that? Bam, HIV. So when you compare it to particles that we are a bit more familiar with, like this, or a red blood cell, for example, we see that this little speck right here is the transistors that are used in our computers, in our phones, and in everyday technology. And we've gotten to the point where it's so small that we have to worry about whether things phase through each other. And so circling back to the beginning of this, going back to a picture of my hand, once we get small enough, smaller than those transistors, a new type of physics emerges. And so an electron of electricity that flows through a transistor, we find that through a phenomenon known as quantum tunneling, that it can go through the barriers that it once had. And so this is a problem. And here at QGuard, we love problems. So it turns out that when you embrace and take advantage of this problem, you get an exponential increase in computing power compared to normal classical computers. To give a relative difference, a supercomputer today would take millions of years to solve certain questions, whereas a quantum computer could take a matter of minutes. But what happens if this technology falls into the wrong hands? Our data isn't safe. It turns out that using our love and passion for quantum, we looked at that problem and we said, yes, this is the best opportunity ever. And so that's exactly what we did. We stepped in to defend banking information, government data, and ultimately our safety from attacks. Naturally, we work directly with the government, with over 20,000 employees across the United States. And our goal is to pioneer defense for a safer tomorrow. And the biggest lesson we've learned at QGuard is that every problem that we face is an opportunity to grow. Thank you. Do I leave?